another kind of continuation of the other albums. This is the horde that was reaching up in the We Come For You All, and also on the cover of Worship Music. They're in this hall of kings, which are us. Alex just did a beautiful, beautiful cover. The colors, everything about it, the stained glass window with the Anthrax, Pentathrax. The album cover depicts these statues of these kings who, they were the originators of the sound of the music that disappeared. And this was the storyline for the comic book, that pretty much the album covers were telling the story. And music was gone. There's no more music. So maybe the next album cover will kind of explain it a little more.
For me, it means everybody can be their own king. Everybody can work hard to be their own king, for all kings. Everybody can be their own king if you work hard enough to get to it. For all kings. This is for all kings. You be your own king and be responsible for your own thing. That's what it means to me.
Be a king to someone. Be a king to your kids. Be for fans. I mean, for me growing up, worshiping certain musicians, in bands, or a sports figure, or for some people, like John F. Kennedy, just things like that. So that's how For All Kings, it was for all people. Who is your king or queen?
When Joey came back to the band, it for me it felt like the big comeback, and the big question was also, can they pull it off like those magical days when Joey was in the band? So there was a lot of waiting to see if they could do it, and man, they made this brilliant masterpiece. And they made this great record afterwards.
The funny thing about those two records is they're almost like a double album. They really fit well together, and so many years has passed, I sometimes forget which songs are on which. Anthems was done in between, obviously. I would almost call it like a garage days version of Anthrax, because Charlie recorded the drums in his garage, and we recorded stuff all over the place, so that was fun to make as well. So those are great covers.
I thought that they were the smartest band in the country. They were doing a Cheap Trick song.
But let's say when like Joe Cocker did A Little Help From My Friends, and it's like, is that the same song, and totally just made it his own. It went through that Anthrax filter, and it came out sounding like Anthrax, even though those guys wrote it.
And I did have to fix a chord on there for him. He made a mistake. But they're used to that.
Yeah, there was one wrong note. He plays it minor, we played it major.
That's the big thing, because it's easy to just say, okay, this is exactly how they did it. Now I'm going to do that. I'm going to try to sound like that. You want to do Beatles-inspired stuff? Come close to it, but don't cross the line. Be Cheap Trick. Come close to it, but stay Cheap Trick.
When Gene and Paul produced Lover All I Can for us, I remember being in the studio. And Gene and Paul, they've been together for quite a long time in their band. So it's almost like a married couple, or brothers, whatever you want to call it. So they have their fun things.
Paul and I went down and visited. Yeah, it was very interesting that they were willing to kind of come to a border of getting close to the KISS border, like it's a different country, but they wouldn't cross that border. They stayed Anthrax.
I am Frank Bello, who's the diehard KISS fan that grew up and bothered these guys and met them in the city, Manhattan, all the time. And they know me from being fan, and then Frankie from Anthrax. So long story short, they're in front of me, in front of the board. So I'm watching Gene and Paul, and so I start to make up my own dialogue. So Paul, do you think Frank should do this note or not, or should just pull back a little bit? I don't think that's the way you did that. And now listen, I think he should hit the high note, but he shouldn't do it this way. And so I started saying this on the microphone, right? And so I see Gene like this, right? And Paul's laughing, and Paul presses the button to hit the microphone. Frank, you sound just like Gene.
they did great. Both Paul and I were kind of going, wow. The guitar sounded overdriven, bigger. I wish he could have sounded like that.
Anthrax always does amazing covers.
Ironically, for the whole time that Shadows Fall was a band, and if you guys keep going, why have I heard that band name before? Because the current guitar player in Anthrax, Jonathan M. Donais, well, that was the band that we were in together for, 12, 15 years.
Oh, that's a good band.
Jason Bittner, actually, he was the first guy to fill in for Charlie when Mia was born. When Charlie's daughter was born, Charlie had to leave, and Bittner flew out and filled in for Charlie on a whole bunch of shows on the reunion tour.
The first time I filled in for Charlie was back in 2005 on the Among the Living reunion tour.
I always loved those Shadows Fall guys and hung out with them a bunch of times, got a little drunk.
It's been amazing, that we've had guys like Jason Bittner and Gene Hoglan and John Deddy have really carried the weight. And that's a big weight to carry, to step into Charlie's shoes.
It was a big deal for me to have the confidence of one of my heroes to let me step in his shoes for a few shows.
I knew the guys. I didn't know them that well, but we knew each other to say hi and have a beer and hang out.
Lead guitar players, we've been very fortunate. John Donais, who we have now, I have to go back to Rob Caggiano, amazing player, plays with Volbeat now.
Yeah, I think he was in Anthrax for 12 years or something.
Yeah, that was a really tough decision. I mean, the Anthrax guys, that's like my second family. I feel like I grew up in that band,
We were touring with the Damn Things, and they opened up for Volbeat, and Rob had an interest for Volbeat. He was definitely standing there on the side of stage every night. And, he said that he really liked what he saw and what he heard, but I think it's more to do with that there's always been a lot of girls at Volbeat shows, and there were never any girls at Anthrax shows. It was only guys with mullets. People bring their Anthrax records to our meet and greet and let Rob sign the Anthrax albums. I think it's great. I love that. They're even asking, what the fuck are you doing in Volbeat? You were in Anthrax, you idiot.
I still bust Rob's balls. I could text him now and say that, and he'll say, have you gone nuts? Are you crazy? You're out of your mind, Belladonna. And that'll be it.
Rob knew he was going to leave.
I think Rob knew he was going to be departing, and I think he wanted to cover us, and he had already had a conversation with John about filling in.
He called me up because he didn't want to leave them hanging. They had an Australia tour coming up, and he asked if I'd be able to fill in.
John Donais is a sweetheart. I love John. I mean, we have a lot of laughs, me and my wife and him at nights, and there's just a barrel of fun. And he's getting his feet wet with us all the time.
At first, I was like, I don't think so, because Shadows Fall was supposed to go to Europe with Testament. And then I made a couple phone calls, talked to my friends and even my parents, and everyone were like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, you're right. What the hell am I thinking? So I did what Rob did, and I called a guy for Shadows Fall. So I go, hey man, I can't tell you why, but I might not be able to make this tour. Can you cover me? And once I got a yes from him, then I called back Rob and his people, and I was like, absolutely. And that got the ball rolling for me to come into this.
I was all for it because I always thought John was a great guy, and I thought he was an awesome guitar player.
He's the only guy, I have a list with one name on it, and it's John Donais. So even Rob was saying, as the guy who's leaving, saying that guy would be great with you guys, and we knew he was perfect. It was a seamless transition, really.
That's a good guitar player. Awesome. I'm happy for them.
Scott, Charlie, and I have this rhythm thing going on. That's another piece to the cake. The lead player is the next piece, and then we have vocals on top of that. And I think that's what you hear in the cake of Anthrax's songs.
My whole thing with playing leads is here's how many bars you have. Please say as much as you can in those bars. Enter it awesome, leave better than you entered. You know what I mean? So that people just remember, oh, I fucking love that lead. Like you could walk down the street singing the lead. Doesn't necessarily have to be shredding all the time. It just has to be memorable. Add a song into the song. That's what I always think.
The great thing about John Donais, he's a student of guitar. He'll learn whatever he's got to learn to the T. As hard as it is, whatever it is, he'll keep on it until he knows it and put his own flavor to it.
I am terrible at playing exactly like somebody else. What I do is I'll hit the money parts and the big melodies, and then I have to throw my personality in there. I just have to. I don't have a choice.
We got a new guy that's going to be writing solos and lead parts and adding to the songs. So how's that going to work? You know, they've been so used to one person for so many years. So, you know, that stuff takes transition time, you know, but John seamlessly filled that role.
Well, I started filling in for them on the end of the Worship Music tour.
He's a fucking young guitar hero.
He's a burner. He can do both. He can burn with the best of them, and he can do some really tasty motherfucking shit. And that's pretty rad to see when he can just put it out there. So I love having him in the band. He's a friend in the band too. So he's a lot of fun, especially when he drinks.
Playing with these guys I still have like these. I can't believe these moments. Even on stage, I look over and see the other four guys. And I'm like, how did I wind up here?
It's great having him on stage, right? It really is a kick in the ass for me because now you got him and Frankie up there with hair, and they're both banging their heads and swinging all that hair around. And then you got, me, who I'm trying to, it's almost like I bang so extra hard, almost trying to get hair to come out of my head so it'll move, which of course is never going to happen. But it makes me headbang even harder when I see what's going on over there on their side of the stage, because the two of them are fucking animals.
So For All Kings was basically like the last hurdle I had to jump to be full time.
It's the Cecil B. DeMille. it's the blockbuster. It's the MCU.
Yeah, there's some real quirky type tunes going on there too, man. Some I couldn't even tell you. Wow, I'm blown away. Like if I listen to them now, I'm like, how did I get there? Wow.
Coming off of Worship Music and all of the great work we did on that record and the touring and moving into Kings, I will admit I did have a moment of, what if we used up all the ideas? What if the fucking well is dry? We used it all up on Worship Music.
The momentum from Worship Music carried over to that record, and I remember being so happy that it was so well received. That there's something about good momentum. Just the same way you can't stop bad momentum, you can't stop good momentum. So that record gave me such hope that this next record could be just as good, if not better.
And then we started working on Kings at some point, probably in 2014, something like that. And I had nothing to worry about.
It carries on. That carried on right on to the next record. It's been nonstop. You got to realize between these records, there's years of touring.
When we're writing it, we know who the singer is. None of those questions exist anymore. That was a huge key as well on For All Kings, knowing that we've got this fucking weapon that really creatively just was like, fucking hell, we could do anything we want.
And I'm glad he has a vision for me in these songs, because it's only fitting that you can utilize what I can deliver to these songs and have a vision. And that's important. And on top of it, I'm glad that they think of writing around me, because it's really a shame if you don't, because why limit me? Give me opportunities. You take, I don't know, say Breathing Light, you take a song like that, or In the End. I mean, it was so bang, it was almost instantaneous. It just, as soon as I started singing, I go, this is gonna be awesome.
I think that all shows in the songwriting on that record, because again, what a fucking killer record.
The way we recorded For All Kings was a little departure from the way we used to record. We did half the record, like we recorded half of the drums at one point, and then we all finished those songs, and then a couple of, maybe 3 months later, we recorded the next six songs or 7 songs, whatever it was. And it was really cool to do it that way because we didn't get burnt out in the studio.
The band felt really good about everything. We had a good head on our shoulders about writing and very positive and all for one for all. It was cool. It was just a good vibe to have, and I think we really came together on it.
And the ideas were flowing, and it wasn't like, you know, we usually put a board up in the room, and it's like you have so many songs to play. And then you look at it and it's like, holy shit, you know, that's a lot. But this time we split it in half, and it really helped, I think, on an energy level. Mentally, I think it helped a lot. And I think even for Jay Ruston not to kind of have to do all these songs all at once.
I think Jay brings out something organic in the sound. A lot of metal today, a lot of the stuff sounds the same, the recordings and stuff. And I think Jay, like, when I listen to his recordings, he makes this band sound like the band. And it doesn't sound like a carbon copy of another record that he's done.
A song like Suzerain, which I'm always dying to play live, which we never have. I think we might have rehearsed it once for live in the sound check. But that's one of those songs I love.
I feel For All Kings was a combination of worship music and back to the thrash days. Songs like You Gotta Believe, for me, were inspired by that time, the time of bands like Exodus. I always said that first Exodus record, Bonded by Blood, is probably my favorite of the thrash scene. I just think that record is thrash metal.
Monster at the End. There's so many songs in that record I would love to play live, but there's just never enough time.
Monster at the End is being able to just really just look at yourself and understand that you are the reason for your problems. You are the reason for whatever the negative is that you're blaming everyone else for. You know, I know it's a cliche to say, well, just look in the mirror, but so many people can't. Or they think they can, but then they fall back into their same patterns. Again, autobiographical, being able to point the finger at myself for a lot of the shit that I brought upon myself in the 80s and 90s. But the monster at the end is usually yourself. You know, Blood Eagle Wings it's an epic.
The other songs on this record, especially Blood Eagle Wings, was another one that it was like Keeping in the Family. Then we had In the End, and we have Blood Eagle Wings. They're long songs, longer songs, and they have a more epic feel to them. They take the listener on a journey.
Different than In the End in that it didn't take us a year. Yeah, and it's a monster of a song.
Trust me, Blood Eagle Wings was not an easy song. It just had to be that length. It just had to take you on a musical journey.
You know, monster of an arrangement. And I felt a lot of pressure with that one. Probably the most of any song on Kings. You know, a song like that, similar to In the End, or if you go back to Keep It in the Family, on Persistence, we don't have many songs that are in that kind of a tempo with and those type of arrangements. You know, Blood Eagle Wings, again, I literally felt like I was looking up this mountain of like, holy shit, like, what am I gonna do with this? Where do I go? What do I do? How do I do it justice? We were in London on tour. I'll walk for hours around that city, and the shit you can see walking around any great old city, you know, is amazing because of the weight of the history. And that's what I started thinking about that as I'm on this walk, and you're walking. I was in the East End, and you pass by the Tower of London, and I've been there enough times as a tourist to know the history of that place. Thinking about, well, yeah, but even before that, and going back even further, to think that the Romans actually had settlements there, and I think it was called like Londinium or something. I started thinking about the weight of the history of a city like London, and there's so many great cities like that on this planet, but I happen to be there. Well, why? Why is it so heavy? What is the weight of a city like this? And I started thinking about the bodies, the actual weight, the physical weight of the bodies that a city like London has been built on over the centuries. How many people died in order for London to exist? How many people died for Rome to exist? How many people died for Paris to exist? How many people died for Athens, Cairo, on and on and on, right? The weight of that, the people in charge of that and who are making the decisions of, yeah, well, millions of people are going to die in order for this city to last for thousands of years. You know, everything's been said, walk among the dead. I started feeling that as I was walking around the city, just thinking about it. And I remember like, wait, I got to get back to, like, and I had my phone with me, so I'm like talking into my phone, and I got to get back to the room. I got to like start writing this down. And I hailed a taxi and went back to the hotel. And I think probably in the next 2 hours, I had the song written. It was just, you know, the city itself was just such an amazing inspiration to me in that moment.
And then it turned out to be one of the best songs on the record. And the video that went along with it was heavy, man. Like, I remember being there when they were shooting it. I was like, what the fuck is all this, you know?
Oh, yeah, the video for Blood Eagle Wings, Jesus, it's the best video we've ever had.
And the end result, I couldn't take my eyes off of it. It was just, I was so enthralled by the look of it and the rhythm of it. And of course, the best part about that video is like, we weren't in it.
Because we're not in it, which is, that it makes it even better. Brendan Small and Brian Posehn are in it.
That was brutal. You couldn't find a band with a better sense of humor than Anthrax, really. High five. My favorite kind of humor is gallows humor, you know, and kind of being in a fucked up situation and kind of lightening that mood. And I get to do that in that video. I love any kind of thing where I get to be in something different from what I'm normally in, you know, and that felt like a horror video. And yeah, no, it was a blast. I love being in Blood Eagle Wings.
I was really excited to see all the practical effects involved.
That is Greg Nicotero's head in the background. We had a good buddy of ours, Jerry Constantine, who's just an amazing makeup and effects guy. He was kind enough to be involved and help us out so much.
I love seeing things happen. I love fake blood. I love all that stuff. And it's brutal. The whole notion of what Blood Eagle Wings are is totally fucking brutal. People were not nice to each other back in, I mean, people aren't nice to each other now, but they would really show it back in the old days.
Jimmy Duvall, who, just Google him, you don't need me to give you his list of credits, did a wonderful job getting blood eagled.
I'm going to get blood eagled in ancient Viking ritual torture.
He was so good at it and so convincing. I felt bad for him. And even when I watched the video, I'm like, God damn it. Like he, you know, it's not like he really had his ribs ripped out, but even on set, having to go through what he went through to get the shots and everything else, it wasn't an easy day for him. Jack Bennett, who directed the video and who Anthrax has worked with quite a bit, if you're watching these videos, that's who I'm talking to right now. Jack really captured the energy of that song, and he captured everything in those lyrics and what I'm trying to say in those lyrics with the Skull King and the city, and just the visuals he gave to it made it even worse than I could imagine, and that's a great thing.
The single for Evil Twin, of course, ties into this too. Everything had to look the same. That's the one thing about, like, even We Come For You All. The singles that went with that all had the same look, a cohesive, you know, look to it all. Same with Worship Music. But the Evil Twin cover, this is the Evil King that Stephen Thompson came up with. So the Evil King also appears in the Blood Eagle Wings video. So again, we just wanted to tie in everything for all kings, and yeah, it just came out great.
pretty sure when I wrote Breathing Lightning, I had like just reread Wizard and Glass from the Dark Tower series. So it was very fresh in my mind. And I challenged myself to be able to do it differently. Whereas in the past, like let's say a song like Among the Living or Skeleton in the Closet, I'm writing a book report in a weird way. And even I Am the Law, like, you know, I'm writing about here's this book, here's what happened. Whereas for me, Breathing Lightning was much more, I immersed myself in that world, and almost like it wasn't necessarily about Roland, but putting myself in the shoes of, what if I was in that world? Oh wait, but I am in that world. I exist in this crazy world of being in a heavy metal band for, at the time, 35 years. So that's my mid-world. That's my Dark Tower right there. Anthrax is my Dark Tower. I have walked this world and back now too many times to count and stop how. Is it me or is it Roland? Is it me as Roland? Is it Roland as me? Like, it is very autobiographical, but it's me in that universe.
When I listen to For All Kings, it makes me excited for the future of Anthrax and what we have coming up next, and what's in the pot of gold. So I'm looking forward to it.
It just proves the point that these guys, they're the real deal. You know, they still make strong albums, and I'm proud to be a fan, and I'm proud to be their friend.
My good friends, Anthrax, wherever you are, I'm not going to say any of my favourites because I'm afraid that just might be doing all of the other songs an injustice. As you know, we've been on many stages together and many tours.
When they plug in and get up on stage, they're excited. That's the magic. I only have to do this to get by. I gotta do more, because and you get in the physicality of it.
That's the greatest trick that heavy metal played on everyone, is that underneath all the bombast, all the dark macabre feelings, there's total joy. When I see Anthrax, it's a dance troupe on stage holding guitars.
First time I saw them live, it's like, I didn't know what to expect, and I walked into this, it was like a gymnasium, and everybody was going crazy in there. It's like, that was so cool. And then when Scott got on stage a bunch of times and played with us, and he doesn't screw up too bad, but you gotta love what you do. Let's see, oh, Scott Ian's texting me right now. Hey Scott, you're bothering me. I'm trying to say something good about you guys. Scott Ian, do you need the Zoom link?
Completely respect Anthrax as a bona fide member of the Big Four. And whether they're number 4 or number 1, they're a member of the Big Four.
Already just to be represented as, I say, the members of the Big Four, because it really is like a club at a level where you're sharing that kind of universe of energy with Metallica and Slayer, Megadeth. It's just a real iconic zone. So, I don't know. I mean, Anthrax, that will always be something that they will cherish. That is like a badge of courage. That is the ultimate notch on any belt. So, they can always wear that and just be so proud. I mean, it's just a great place to be and to stand on that mountain with these incredible bands and these incredible musicians. And also to be the one band that is not from California. East Coast, they've got history. Anthrax has seen it all, been through it all.
All the guys are just the greatest guys in the world, just cool people. And I think you can be good people and make good music.
There are so many, there's no way to really define Anthrax because of just how fucking good they are. Anthrax is not defined by any one album. They have so many creative and cultural fucking peaks that just keep happening. Even, God, man, I mean, For All Kings is amazing, dude. It makes me go, they're just getting better.
Again, we've been very fortunate with this, and it's funny talking about this 40-year thing. Still feeling, as I am right now talking to you, of how much more I think we have to and want to give. If that's 40 years, I could speak for the rest of the band. Nobody has any intention of slowing down now.
If I'm starting to feel, you know, I'm starting to get winded, or you know, I'm starting to lose my energy or something, I know all I got to do is look over at Frankie. It's that kick in the ass you need sometimes. You know, I just give a glance over there and I'm like, oh yeah, you know, maybe sometimes you're just feeling it a little bit. And apparently that never happens to him. People started using tracks more than ever and lip syncing and all that. And you hear this excuse from a lot of the really big pop acts that, well, they use tracks because they can't sing and do all the dancing at the same time. The dancing knocks them out. So sometimes, or they can't sing and do the dancing at the same time. So they need the track. And Frankie is living proof that you can sing and do all, because he's working harder up there than any person, any pop singer or whatever. He's stomping around there harder than anyone, and he's singing his ass off. So I call bullshit on any of those people saying that it's too hard to sing and dance at the same time. Yeah, come to an Anthrax show and look at Frankie.
He's the most entertaining in the band. On stage, he's, you know, it's like, let him go. Let him do what he wants, you know. He's just all over the fucking place.
It lifts me up. It's the ultimate high. Think about it. I don't do drugs, so that's my drug, man. And look, to be able to still be able to do this with people that really care and get into this stuff, man, I'm pushing it out there for 110. That's not forced. That shit is straight from the songs and straight from the audience. That audience creates that energy, and whatever you see is coming straight from the audience, from the songs. It's all one big energy package, and I'm grateful to be there, man.
You think about it, like, holy cow, I mean, we have this much impact.
Joey's just got this thing about him too, man. Joey's got this great voice. Joey's voice is what made this band too, and it's great that we were going to take this out and ride it out.
Another thing I've noticed about Joey is he's so good with the crowd and interacting with them, and lets them all feel part of the show. You know, he's down over the barricade, you know, shaking hands, getting the crowd to participate. He's great at that.
Oh yeah, that story about the Christ Redeemer, right? We just strolled up there one day, and I ain't kid you, everybody that was up there, it was almost like, I don't even know, I felt like a huge celebrity there. People were texting people, and they were showing up by the dozens on top of what was up there. And the whole day it was like, we just took pictures the whole time we were up there. And out of nowhere, just out of this location, you know, in the middle of nowhere, in the sky.
I'm Thor and Joey is Loki. It's true. I am. I'm fucking hammering away, and Joey's running around like the lunatic god of mischief. Yes, 100%.
He's all over the place on that stage, man. He's fucked up so many of my guitar solos by giving me a bump or like a little shove.
And Scott's just Scott, you know. A lot of people, I think, stole a lot of Scott's moves on stage. And Scott's just got this presence about him that he kind of demands your attention.
When we played the early days, till even before I was in the band, Scott was a drive in Anthrax, getting shit done, getting the record, people to hear Soldiers of Metal and all that stuff, doing the tours, doing the press tours. I love that about Scott, that he's a great, he waves the flag of Anthrax, and I love that about him. Our drives match, and Charlie's the same way. I think that's why, that's the magic, whatever you want to call it, of Anthrax.
No one can replace Charlie. It's impossible. Charlie's feel, Charlie's playing is everything. It's everything for the sound of Anthrax.
He still blows my mind. He comes up with shit that's so crazy. Such a tight player, and then he's all around. He's a great guitar player too. Great artist. He's just one of those guys all around, like, you know, MVP.
part of that live show is the unexpected of where's he gonna go, what's he gonna do, and I'm gonna follow. I'm getting on that roller coaster with him, and that's one of I love so much about playing with Charlie is that it's a lot of times it's not the same. It's not the same every night, and thank God it's not the same every night.
The nucleus of Anthrax, that fucking tenacity and drive to never say die. We met on all that. I think there's a reason why the three of us and Joey have gotten together and are still together because it works. I think we meet each other somehow that way.
I think it's the times when we don't see each other for a while and we get into the room and then we're all just kind of laughing and it's the bond that we had back then that we still have to this day, that we, at the end of the day, we still enjoy each other. We still enjoy each other's company. We still enjoy playing with each other. We still enjoy making music. We still enjoy making people happy. I think it's all of that. And I don't think I'm any different than I was that first day when they came over my house to audition me. I think I'm still the same person. I'm maybe a lot wiser, more experienced, but I think I'm still the same person who collects shit, who just loves to love stuff.
Would you still play Fast as a Shark, though?
100%.
How do you wrap up a 40-year anniversary? I think you start by saying thank you. Thank you to our friends out there for being with us for so long, for supporting us, for coming to the shows, for getting the records, for always being there. Thank you, sincerely. I watch these videos, it freaks me the fuck out, to be honest with you. I can't believe it's been 40 years. It's the scrapbook of my life watching these videos, of our lives. This has been a great run for all of us. It's great seeing different people's perspectives on it, like all our friends in other bands and seeing their perspective at that time in Anthrax. I thought that was really awesome to see. Even the band members, my fellow band members, watching them, their perspective about that time, which I didn't even know a lot of it, which is awesome. I didn't know a lot of this stuff, how they felt about that time in our lives. So that was really fun to watch. Looking at all these, reliving this stuff, it does nothing but get me more excited for the future with Anthrax. New record, new album cycle, new tour cycle. We have a whole lot more to give, and if you like what we had in the 40 years, wait till you see what's next. It's all good ahead. Be well, everybody.
What is the secret to Anthrax's longevity? I don't know that it's a secret. I think it's just, I think we very much wear it on our faces, on our sleeves. It goes back to the early days of us smiling in photos. It really is a lot of fun getting to do this. It's still something, when I really think about it, that I'm completely blown away and amazed that it ever happened in the first place. Being a kid and loving music and bands and going to shows so much, and having that drive and that hope that someday that's what you're gonna be, that guy. You're gonna get to play shows in front of people. You're gonna make albums. Somehow you're gonna get the key to that lock and get to be a part of that world. When I think about that sometimes, I'm still amazed. As much as I talk about it and think about it, I'm still amazed that it happened. That we got to go behind that curtain. We got to open that door and walk through it and be a part of this world for 40 years. I've never once taken it for granted that this is what we do, that this is what I've done with my life, because it's all I ever wanted to do. And it was always, I always imagined it as what could be more fun than getting to do that. You know, me pointing at Iron Maiden on stage in 1981 at the New York Palladium, looking at Kiss in 1977, looking at Judas Priest, on and on and on and on and on bands that I love, and then getting to be a part of that world. it's just been an unbelievable dream come true and a privilege. And of course, it's been a shit ton of hard work, and it's never not hard work, but it's hard work that I love doing.
You know, being in a band is probably the greatest thing. It's what I've always wanted to do. Make music, play, you know, meet people, becoming a fucking globetrotter. Not the basketball team, but and then just making friends along the way, and then bonding with the guys that you are in the band with. And I would always think of it as a gang. Like we go to the next city. There's this gang that pulls up to your city to spend 24 to 48 hours there, and then we move on to the next town, and we do it again. You meet a lot of people along the way. Some people are still my friends from the early days, and that to me is some of the important things about being in the band. Just reaching people, you know, on an emotional level, on a level that most people don't get to achieve that, you know, and that's the one thing. And I'm just so grateful for what this band has given me. And after 40 years, I could still say that. Like, it's going to be cliche right now for me to say this, but the best is still yet to come.
I just want to thank all you guys, all the fans, everything. I am so privileged to have you guys as my longtime friends. Thank you for 40 years and many more. Thank you. Right here.